Hey, welcome to the Carnivore Salad Channel. It's me, Albert, your host, and I wanted to talk a little bit about something that I heard on the radio today. I was listening to a AM talk show in out of the Dallas Fort Worth area, and the host of the show was talking about obesity in the United States, and the different um, implications that obesity creates, the chaos in human health that is caused by obesity. And when I look at obesity, um, I see obesity as a side effect of lifestyle. I mean, it's just that way. And I kind of have to be careful about what I say here because I'm not a doctor. I'm not a PhD. I'm not a certified nutritionist or anything like that. I'm just somebody. I'm just a man. I'm a man who has the capability of observation and critical thinking and coming to my own conclusions. And when I look at why people are fat, especially men, um, why they turn into fat guys. I don't like the word obese because it's the proper political thing, correct thing to say in this day and age. And oh, you're clinically obese or you're overweight. No, you're a fat guy, and let's just call you what you are. This channel is for men, and there may be some women that chime in on this from time to time and see what's going on here. But ultimately, I'm talking to the men out there, the men who have decided that being fat, being a fat guy, is somehow funny or cute or um, virtuous. I mean, yeah, there's some big guys out there, and I know there's some genetically big guys out there who are genetically predisposed to being larger guys, and I mean that's genetics. We understand genetics. We can all agree on genetics. We can understand that genetics is something that plays a role in male physique. Okay, so we don't need to argue about that. We don't need anybody to come in and say, well, I'm just naturally big boned. Okay. I like seeing all those big bone skeletons on display over the years and years of history of mummies and different periods in different regions where they found these big boned men. I mean, their bones are like huge. Um, I don't know if you've seen that, but I don't recall seeing that. Everybody's bones are pretty much the same size, considering, like I said, there's exceptions. The rule is our body structure is skeletal, so the whole big bone thing just doesn't smell pass the smell test. So, what is it? You learned how to eat as a child, right? Your very first meals were as a child. So that's why you eat the way you eat. You learned from your parents how to eat. They fed you what they had. They fed you what was available, and you learned how to eat that. So when we talk about a 70-year-old man, 70-year-old man, 60-year-old man, 50-year-old man, 40-year-old man, 30-year-old man, 20-year-old man, down to a 10-year-old boy. We all ate different things growing up, and these are numbers in today's ages. Um, so a 70-year-old man ate very different in his 20s than a 20-year-old man eats today. So I don't need to have a science degree or some kind of PhD to tell me that. The food was very different back then. How do I know this? Because I've studied it. Okay, I don't need to bring the fact sheet out. If that's what you want, you're on the wrong channel. Because the fact is, you're fat. if you're a fat guy. And I can tell you're fat because I used to be a fat guy. I know what it's like to be a fat guy. You're trying to put your shoes on and you're huffing and puffing because you can't reach your shoelaces, and the gut has basically compressed your entire diaphragm up into your throat, as well as pushed all your organs back. So yeah, I know what it's like to be fat. I used to wear a CPAP machine. I was a fat guy. I had problems with my weight, and I had problems with my lifestyle as well too. It wasn't that I wasn't exercising enough, because I was exercising plenty. So that wasn't the problem. It was basically what I was eating and what I was drinking, and that was, that took a toll on my health. That literally took a toll on my health. And as men, and I'm using the men that I train as examples, because these guys are not only my clients, they're my teachers. I teach men from almost in their 80s, 78. So I have guys in their 70s, late 70s, 60s, 50s, and that's the age range of men that I train in my gym. And one of the things that I learn from these guys is what I don't want to be like when I'm that age. It's very easy to turn into a fat guy in this day and age. Why? Because shit tastes good. I mean, things are designed to taste good. But remember this. As a man, you have a lot of considerations to put forth in your decisions as you progress through life, because what I'm learning, and this is just from training this age group the last couple of years, going into 3 years with it, is that when men get sick and they give that sickness for another man to manage with some kind of credentialed, established practice, those men usually come out of those offices worse off than what they went in. And I'm talking about knee replacements. I'm talking about medications that these guys are put on that they don't even need to be on. And like I said, I'm not a scientist. I'm not a physician. I'm not an expert at any of this. But I want you to think about something. We're mammals, right? As human beings, correct? All right. There's other mammals out there on this planet. And we'll use an elephant and a bear, for example. We consider these animals big. Cows, big. But they're not obese. They're just large animals. They're mainly muscle. And these mammals, these creatures, aren't registered dietitians. They're not licensed physicians or experts in food. They're just animals. They eat it instinctually. So, as a mammal, I should understand that I don't need a degree to feed myself properly, in a proper fashion. The problem that has occurred is when we bring these animals into our lives, let's say a dog or a cat or a horse or any mammal that you bring into your lifestyle, and you start feeding that animal. Some of those animals get obese pretty fast. A lot of you got a lot of fat cats and a lot of fat dogs, and you're fat yourself. And that dog, if it was allowed to just eat its natural food, its natural carnivore diet, it doesn't get fat. And it's eating fat, and it's eating a lot of fat. It doesn't weigh or measure or portion out anything. It doesn't worry about food combinations or overeating too many calories or any of that stuff. Those, for some reason, those creatures don't develop all the sicknesses that we as human beings develop throughout our lifetime. They don't have to worry about cholesterol problems. They don't have to worry about their brains disintegrating as they're alive because of all the lost neurotransmitters in the brain because of all the garbage that we put into our bodies. They don't have to worry about that stuff. We do. We have to worry about heart attacks, and we have to worry about blood pressure, and we have to worry about our sugar levels and insulin levels and all that stuff. And we're the ones taking medications, big concoctions, big cocktails of medications. And why is that? Well, I mean, we're the apex predator on the planet, which means we should be eating pretty much any animal we want to be eating because that's what we're made out of. We're not made out of plant material. I don't have plant fibers in me. I don't have plant stalks and leaves growing out of me. I'm flesh and blood. I'm made of cartilage and nerves and bones and proteins and fats and all these biological things that other mammals are made out of. I'm not made out of plants. So therefore, I should probably be eating these other animals that are made out of the same stuff that I'm made out of. So I'm going to use this as an example. When I had my dogs, I put them on a raw diet several years back because it just made sense. I would take chicken hearts and chicken livers and either a roast or a pork butt or something. I'd grind it up in the meat grinder and serve that to them as dog food because and they loved it. I mean, it was like holy, they would eat it all. But one thing I noticed about that transition from their dry dog food diet to their raw dog food diet, their shits or poops, whatever you want to call it, were minimal. It was like, holy shit, there's no waste when dogs eat raw food, raw meat. And I should have picked up on it then. I should have picked up on it back then going, well, I mean, that's what dogs eat. They're carnivores. They don't eat plants. I mean, our dog ate apples and all kinds of shit. But in essence, they're carnivores. They prefer meat, and their digestive systems prefer meat. Their digestive systems are set up for that. So are ours. Once I learned the fundamentals, the basic theory and the basic science of carnivore, I was like, holy shit, why didn't I know this before? Why didn't I know this in my 20s? Why didn't I know this in my 30s? Why didn't I know this in my 40s? Here I am in my 50s, mid-50s, going, all right, I got it. And I've been doing it for 2 years. I've been on it for 2 years now. I went from about 200 pounds, 205 pounds. For the past year, I think I weighed myself finally 3 months ago for the first time in 2 years, and I got down to 170. But I'm starting to climb back up. Here at the gym, I work out with the guys from time to time, and I do my own stuff. But I really, really, really haven't been doing too much the last few months, just because of whatever, my own reasons, not excuses, but reasons. But I'm still putting on muscle mass, and I'm doing minimal work, which is fine. That wasn't my goal. My goal was health. I'm 54 years old. I'm married. I don't give a shit about impressing other girls or other dudes or anything like that. I'm past that. I'm adult male status, man status. I don't eat like a kid anymore. I don't entertain myself like a kid anymore. I nourish my body for longevity. And I was having this conversation with my evening class this afternoon, and I was talking about, this very subject that we're talking about right here, right now. And I was like, look, I see all these guys at the local convenience stores and at all the convenience stores, all the contractors. These contractors are roofers, carpenters, concrete guys. I mean, all walks of construction. These guys are all over the place in this area. If you wanted to know what the industry is around the Dallas-Fort Worth area, I guarantee you contracting is one of the biggest industries around here. And one of the things that I notice about a lot of these guys, and I'm going to say, just I'm gonna put a number on it just to put and I'm gonna lowball it. 7 out of 10 guys that work construction. 7 out of 10 of these men that I see pulling these trailers and putting diesel in their trucks and getting their burritos and energy drinks in the morning, and that's a whole nother thing we got to talk about is those fucking energy drinks. They're all fat. Most of them are fat. They're fat guys. And how is this so? These guys burn calories all day long. They work, they're carrying, they're hauling, they're lifting, they're moving, they're pushing, they're pulling, they're dragging, they are up and down the ladders. Why are they fat? This alone should prove to you that exercise alone is not enough to lose weight or to not be a fat guy. As I said, I used to be that guy. I couldn't tie my shoes. I wore a CPAP machine just because I had too much fat in the back of my throat. And if you don't understand that and your doctor isn't explaining it to you like that, then that's why you need a sleep study. You got too much fat. And let's talk about that real quick. You got too much fat in your head. You got a fat head. And if you got fat behind your neck, you probably got fat in your throat area too. As well, if you got a big belly, not only do you have a big belly, that big belly is compressing all your organs against your rib cage, your spine, all that stuff is just shoved in there now, and half of it is hanging out. But this is how you live. So all that rotting plant material in your gut, it doesn't move very well because it's surrounded by fat, and your stomach doesn't do what it's supposed to do because it's smushed by fat, and everything is just crammed into this little body cavity, and the skin is stretched out, and yeah, you're fat. I don't know how else to put it. And the only way you're going to really lose that fat is, what are people doing now? They're getting a shot. They're getting an injection that makes them lose weight and muscle mass, and that's a whole nother situation there because your heart is made of muscle and you're losing muscle because of this shot. And it's just, I don't know how much stupider we can get as men, but it's happening. It is happening because as a man, the more fat you have on your body, you can call it the shed for your tool, and you can make this is extra snack for later, or this is padding, or whatever. You can make up all the jokes you want about what that fat is and why you're a fat guy, and you can laugh about it. But I know damn well when you're trying to tie your shoes or you're trying to put your pants on and you almost fell over because you're too fat to fit in your pants and you can't reach your feet to tie your shoes. I know it's not a joke then. I know it's not a joke when you can't breathe. I know it's not a joke when you feel like something's wrong and you can't quite figure it out, but you ignore it. I know it's not a joke then, but it's a joke when you're eating. It's a joke when you're drinking. It's a joke when you're making light of your failures as a man. And as a man, your responsibility is to be a protector and a provider. And that protection, those provisions aren't just material items or money or physical. I mean, we're, you know, as a provider, you're providing security for your family, for your loved ones, that you're going to be there, that you're going to be capable of being the man that you're supposed to be. You know, it doesn't take a rocket scientist or an expert to understand why people get fat. It really doesn't. Fatness is a choice, just like addiction is a choice. I used to be an addict too. Fucking raging alcoholic. 35 years of my life, I was like that. But, you know, it was a choice. It wasn't a condition. It wasn't a defect in me. I was told it was that, but it wasn't. And we you know, as we progress through this channel, we're going to talk about all these things because, you know, I've failed many times. I've been a failure most of my life, and, you know, I never played it off that way, but I knew I was because I felt it. I always felt it, you know, and it was ultimately that feeling that has kept me ingrained in my own health. Even when I was an addict, even when I was destroying my body, I was conscious enough to know that I had to do something to counteract it. But, you know, it caught up with me eventually. It did catch up with me because I ended up in emergency surgery because I had destroyed my gut lining so much. I had destroyed my gut just because of the garbage that I was eating and the alcohol I was drinking. I was still training. I was still taking supplements that would kind of, you know, support my liver and do all these things and help me cleanse the body. But as smart of a mechanism that the body is and how resilient it is, you can and you will eventually overwhelm it, especially in your older years. Going into your 50s, if you're a 40-year-old guy right now and you've been eating the standard American diet for your whole life, you hit your 50s and you're going to be fucked. You don't even have a clue as to what is about to happen to you as you continue to age and continue to on the path that you're on right now. You don't even have a clue. Everything can be fine right now. Or you already have an indication that something's wrong and you're just ignoring it. It's not going to go away. I mean, the only way things go away is if you make them go away. You actively choose to make them go away. And that's what I'm going to help you with. I'm going to see if I can help you guys out with that, because training alone just isn't enough. Changing your lifestyle incrementally. You don't have to do it all in one day. Incrementally. And the beauty about being you know, a male is we don't have all the hormonal issues that women have as they go into their older years. You know, most of them hit it in their young years. They end up with hysterectomies or complete full hysterectomies, and they're or they'll go through menopause. But we do go through somewhat of a male menopause because our hormones change. Your testosterone as you age diminishes. There's a lot of things that diminish as you age, and we'll talk about those things, and we'll get into those things and how to kind of address those things that don't require an expert. I mean, you don't. I'm not an expert. I'm perfectly healthy. I'm perfectly capable. As a 54-year-old man, I'm on 0 medications. I have 0 body aches and pains. I train to my life's goals, and that's to maintain my capability. I'm not joining any competitions anytime soon. I'm not going to have I don't have a photo shoot coming up anytime soon. So what the fuck am I training for? I'm training for life. I'm training for out there in the wild, putting stuff up and picking things up and moving things and being able to get away from trouble danger if I need to, or being able to protect, or being able to hunt, or being able to be a man. So, in closing, I'm going to call you a fat guy, and I'm going to call fat guys fat guys. There's no glory. There's no reason for change if I say, yeah, you know what, you probably are just a naturally big guy. Your dad was a naturally big guy. Your grandfather was a little guy. Your great grandfather was a little guy. But I guess that's just the way it runs in your family, or nobody runs in your family. But whatever. So we're going to talk about these things. We're going to get into them. I'm going to see what I can do to help you guys out. Like I said, this channel, I do have another YouTube channel that me and my wife started when we were living off grid, back in during the whole pandemic thing. We lived up in the mountains completely off grid, and that's a whole nother part of my life that I'll share incrementally throughout, you know, the presence of this channel. But you know, my whole goal is not to talk about me. My goal is to kind of talk about what I notice and what I've learned over the last 50, 55, 54 years of life in trying to just find that balance. I don't think it's ever possible to be fully balanced in this this day and age, but I think we can get pretty damn close. So I'm gonna leave it there. Like, subscribe, drop me a comment in those comments. Let's talk about something you want to talk about. It's not talk about what I want to talk about. I mean, I got 2 subscribers right now, so I'm going to try to build this channel organically. I'm not worried about algorithms. I'm not worried about monetization. I'm not worried about any of that shit. This is just an outlet for me as a man to share with you guys as other men. And if you're just some badass dude and you feel like you have to fucking destroy me and tell me how wrong I am, whatever. We'll discuss it. We'll talk about it. But you know, I didn't just crawl out from under a rock. I've been doing this for quite some time, and I'm just getting to the point where I'm going to put it out there. So let's put it out there. Let's talk about it. Like, subscribe, and we'll talk to you guys later.